Smackdown review for the July 26th episode of Smackdown. I'm Will, that's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. As always, let's cheers and talk about some wrestling, eh?
Yeah, this one's going to be a shorter one, that's for sure. I mean, it was an episode of Smackdown.
Yeah, a lot of the rosters in Japan on their Japanese tour, and this was one of them episodes where you could tell that they didn't have a lot of the roster in the back, but they did what they could. We started the show out, though, with Nick Aldis. He's backstage with the Bloodline. And right before it was announced that there was going to be an five-team tag gauntlet? 16.
I think 6.
6-team number one contender tag team gauntlet match. And the Bloodline standing right next to him. And Tongaloa, or is it Tamatonga? Yeah, it's Tongaloa. Tongaloa has an eye patch on, and he's like, he's not cleared to wrestle, so you guys are out. And Solo's like, no, we got Jacob Fatu. So Jacob Fatu and Tamatonga will represent us tonight. Is that okay, Mr. Nick Aldis? And Nick Aldis kind of was intimidated by the Bloodline. He was like, fine, that works. But it was a quick segment. LA Knight, though, would be walking in the back, and he was looking ready to wrestle. Mm-hmm. It was one of those camera shots where they went from the back all the way to the front. And he was cutting a promo all the way there. He didn't miss a single line. You could tell he was killing it, feeling it tonight. He said he was going to teach Santos Escobar a lesson tonight, and then Logan Paul a lesson at SummerSlam. Hit my music. He hits the music. He goes out there. LA Knight versus Santos Escobar with Elektra Lopez. This match was decent. I mean, they both got a good amount of offense, and the story of it was that Elektra Lopez was getting involved on the outside of the ring. So while there wasn't any really big spots, Santos Escobar he had a sharpshooter on LA Knight. Didn't know he had that in his arsenal, but he had a sharpshooter. And then they would get up, lock up. Santos would push LA Knight to the ropes, where Santos would immediately look at the ref, say a word, distract the ref, and Elektra would hit LA Knight while he was on the ropes, leaving him laying on that second rope, and Santos Escobar would hit a 619 on him. I was like, this man is just Rey Mysterio today. Huh? He's Bret Hart.
Shout out to when he was, I guess, teaming with Rey, right?
Yeah. Hey, his man was Bret Hart and Rey Mysterio. But Lopez would keep getting involved throughout the entire match. That was kind of the whole thing. But when she eventually got involved to the point where they had him outside the ring, was throwing him off the steel steps, kind of getting the upper hand on LA Knight the whole time. But LA would make a comeback, but as he's making his comeback, ref gets distracted by Elektra again, and on the apron is Logan Paul. And Logan Paul comes with his the prime punch is what I call it, with his prime punch to knock out LA Knight. Misses. LA Knight's able to get rid of him. He hits the BFT or whatever his finisher is. Yeah, the BFT on Santos Escobar. He ends up getting the win. 1, 2, 3. But immediately after the win, Logan Paul does attack. Ends up hitting him with a frog splash off the top rope. Looking real good. Logan Paul stands tall here. I'm going to give this a pop. Good stuff to see Logan Paul on TV doing some wrestling moves. Decent match here with LA Knight and Santos Escobar. Can't really complain about it.
No, not at all. I'm going to pop it as well. Like you said at the beginning with the promo with LA in the back. I know we talk about it like almost every week. It's probably repetitive. People are probably like, God, can they shut up about the backstage camera walkouts?
It's cool.
Like, it's so cool. And it makes you think, like, if you did get like a Cena or Rock or Austin or Shawn, like one of those guys back in the day, super solid.
Undertaker be a 45-minute entrance.
He just cuts his Paul Bearer's just talking in the back.
Gorilla's full of smoke.
Ooh, yeah. And so you got LA going out there. It was a passable match. I mean, wasn't anything special, but did its job. LA won, which he needs to do.
Yeah.
Like you said, nice to see Logan. That was cool. I guess we can talk about after real quick where Logan's talking about how he called Mr. Cleveland.
Yep.
Well, who's Mr. Cleveland?
I don't know. Is it LeBron?
That's
a little bit of me was like,
that's what
LeBron
I thought.
James showing up to SummerSlam.
I was like,
you say Mr. Cleveland, that's LeBron James.
Yeah, and people be like, oh, well, he's in Paris for the Olympics. Yeah, I understand that. But like, who else is Mr. Cleveland?
Yeah.
Grover Cleveland?
The Cleveland Family guy?
I was gonna say, I don't know who Mr. Cleveland is.
What he's talking about is they had a small backstage segment where Logan Paul gets interviewed by Byron Saxton, and Logan Paul takes the mic and says that basically at SummerSlam he's going to beat Logan Paul, or he's going to beat LA Knight, and he has a surprise next Friday. It is a Logan Paul homecoming where Mr. Cleveland is going to surprise him with a good homecoming. And Byron's like, "Can you tell me what that is?" And he's like, "No, you have to be there." Yeah. And then he's like, "I'm going to beat LA Knight." Yeah, he did the whole thing. So good little backstage.
As much as I don't like Logan obviously hasn't been on TV, but it is like when we get him every now and then still, I'm always like, dang, he is. I still find him entertaining.
No, he's great. It's just it literally is just the no defenses and not showing up in wrestling. That's the only issue. He's a superstar. Yeah, but you do got to get in that squared circle, bro. Anyway, we'll move on back to Byron Saxton. He's with Naomi backstage.
Busy night for him tonight.
It was busy. He was going back. He interviewed a lot of people, making his paycheck. Yeah. Anyway, he's backstage with Naomi, who is still mad about the Blair Davenport stuff from a couple weeks ago. But she was basically like, "Yeah, I don't know what her problem is. I've done nothing to her, but I'm gonna make her feel the glow." And then you hear her posse cheering her on, and it's Jade and Bianca, and they're like, "You know what? We're here to call out the tag team champions, so we're gonna head out to that ring." And that's what they do. Mm-hmm. They head out to the ring. And Bianca goes, "We're going to cut straight to the chase here. We want the tag titles. You guys said you were going to be at SmackDown this week, so where you at?" And their music hits, and Jade and Bianca do that thing where they go to lean on the ropes and wait for them to come in, and they're coming from the back. Yep. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. They attack from the back. They get the jump on Bianca and Jade for about 10 seconds. And then Bianca ends up getting Isla Dawn in the KOD, but she's able to kind of squirm her way out of it by using the ropes. She rolls out of the ring. Meanwhile, Jade picks up Alba Fire over her head, military presses, because she is a ridiculous human being. And military press throws Alba Fire out of the ring onto Isla Dawn. We are getting officially next week on SmackDown Jade and Bianca versus Alba Fire and Isla Dawn for the tag titles. This was a short segment. I thought it did. I thought it did well. I'm gonna give it a pop. This was Jade and Bianca being Jade and Bianca. So
yeah, not much more to add. I guess we haven't really seen a bunch from Unholy Union in terms of on TV. Really, I mean, you have bits and pieces on Raw and some on SmackDown, but it's nice to see them getting a match. We talked about is it gonna happen at SummerSlam? Is it not gonna happen? Well, this is a nice way. That SummerSlam card is pretty stacked. So it's a nice way to get that the night before. And
it's looking like the SmackDown card the night before is going to be pretty stacked too, because we also got a tag team title match, which we'll get to a little later. But I was looking at those graphics when they popped up, and I was like, huh.
Yeah, and I guess I wouldn't really be opposed to that if that's how they start running things, like the night before PLE on SmackDown. Like, hey, maybe you don't make the PLE, but we'll give you a match here on SmackDown.
Totally love it. Yeah, totally love it. Like your story just didn't cut the main PLE, which people are going to be like, oh, the damn women's titles are still not on PLEs again. They're failing and whatever. But it's going to be good. Speaking of tag team, though, we had the biggest segment of the night. We had the 6-team #1 contender tag team gauntlet match, which worked to where 2 tag teams were in the ring at once. One wins, the loser leaves, a new tag team comes in. It was a long match. This was decent. Whole page of notes, so we're getting right to it. The starting teams here were Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews taking on Angel and Berto. And basically, this was the Baron Corbin show. Uh-huh. Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews were getting some hella good offense in, dude.
You love to see it.
You do love to see it.
Love to see
Angel and Berto would try to get the jump on them during their own entrance. Instead of posing, they just ran after Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin. But Baron Corbin was like, "No, I'm a GOAT now," and he kind of took care of them. But they would end up tagging in Baron Corbin with a hot tag, and he would hit an end of days on Angel. There really wasn't any big spots in these two. This was kind of just a get the first team out type deal. So he would hit the end of days on Angel Garza. 1, 2, 3, they leave. Street Profits join, and I'm sitting there like, dang, the second team. that can't be good. That can't be good.
Your tag team versus my tag team, you know?
We were talking about this a few weeks ago, how we want this to end up with tag belts on one of these teams, and these guys go at it. And the thing was, they put on. I thought this was easily the best pairing of the night in terms of the gauntlet match. But Montez Ford and Apollo Crews would start, and they would just acknowledge the fact that they were just acrobatic gods. And so they would do these acrobatic moves where they were doing like back springs, flips and crap on each other, and they were one-upping each other. And I was like, that's good stuff. Mm-hmm. That's good stuff. Mm-hmm. But they would end up, Montez Ford, as much as I love him, dude, he did a side suplex on Apollo Crews and dropped that man on his neck, and Corey Graves did not shy away from letting him hear about it. Corey Graves said like 80 times, like, how the hell is Apollo Crews alive? He just got dumped on his neck.
It's like JR with Mankind back in the day. like that level. How is he still walking?
It was bad. I love Montez, but he dropped that man on his head. But it happens. It happens. Corbin and Crews would go to the outside of the ring. They'd be thrown to the outside of the ring. Or no, sorry. Corbin would be on one side of the ring, and D'Angelo Hawkins would be on the outside of the other side of the ring. So opposing sides of the ring. And Apollo Crews and Montez Ford would look at each other and be like, you want to fight? Nah. And they would run on opposite sides, and they would each suicide dive to their opposing, the other guy on the outside of the ring, which is really cool. But we would eventually get a Street Profits finisher. It wasn't their big one. They ended up doing that later, but one of their just normal finishers on Apollo Crews. 1, 2, 3, they're able to eliminate Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews. And Pretty Deadly would now come out. Still looking for their musical. It's good stuff.
I don't have anything else to add. I don't want to say I was a fan of them in NXT, but like in NXT, you could take them somewhat more serious. Ever since they've come to the main roster, It's like, Jesus, you know?
Yeah. Well, they're trying to get their musical, okay? That's their story. But
that's a terrible story.
It's not good. But Pretty Deadly would work on Montez Ford for a while. They would kind of let Montez rest by making him take a ton of bumps, because they were suplexing him and dropping him, and he was working in there. But he would eventually get a hot tag to Angelo Dawkins, who would get the momentum. And then Tez would get hurt here. They were working his legs. The idea was that Pretty Deadly was like, this guy's acrobatic. Let's take out his legs. Smart wrestling moves. Not bad. So then they would 2-on-1 against Angelo. And they would hit their finishing on him, but Montez Ford would break up the pin. And then they would end up kind of doing one big spot where one of the Pretty Deadly members would end up on the outside of the ring and injured. And Montez would go to the top rope, and they would hit their Blockbuster from Heaven finisher. That's their big one. Looked good. Street Profits gets the pin here. They get to continue on some more. And now the OC gets to join the match. OC is Gallows and Anderson. No AJ Styles walking out with them.
No, he was in
Japan.
Yeah, he's in Japan. So
he's like, go get him, Tiger.
I don't remember who he fought, but he fought somebody in Japan, like, because after the LA Knight match, they did like that little promo video or whatever showing the Japan stuff. Yeah. And you see AJ in it, and it's like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense.
I think they did a triple threat match. I think it was Cody, AJ, and Shinsuke, I want to say.
It makes sense. AJ's been there forever, but
yeah.
Also, Gallows and Anderson have also been there, they were in the Bullet Club as well.
Yeah, but like, bro, we need workers.
It's weird because it's like they don't get normal TV time.
Can't have a 5 tag team.
They don't get normal TV time ever, but like, hey, when everybody else is going over,
yeah.
And I know it's pre-recorded, I understand that, but like, yeah, we're gonna throw you in this. It's just like, oh, okay, well, there's that.
Yeah, they came in, and the play here was that Street Profits retired at this point, right? They had just gone through 2 teams. And so, once again, Montez is in the middle of the ring, getting his butt whooped, getting dropped a bunch. Dude's back probably hurts today because they weren't big bumps, but, he was taking bumps, and he was taking them hard. But once again, hot tag to Dawkins. Then he would do he would throw both members out, and he would do a suicide flip over the top rope over both of them. And Corey Graves would be like, he hit his shins on our announce table and he didn't even affect him because he like over flipped into the table, but he was like, yeah, and he got up anyways. It was actually pretty cool. But this one was the shortest of the night. They were working, then all of a sudden a roll up pin from Jesus, I can't say his name today. Dawkins.
Yeah,
One,
I don't know
2,
who
3.
Hawkins is, I tell you.
Yeah, freaking Hawkins.
Kurt Hawkins.
Kurt Hawkins. But Dawkins would get the elimination on OC with a roll up. Kind of the quickest of the night here. Kind of the most throwaway-ish of the tag team matchups tonight.
As it probably should be.
But the lights go out. Music hits. Bloodline time. And they get the full Jacob Fatu entrance. Full entrance with the fire. Like Kane. Jacob Fatu's entrance is awesome. Just going to put that out there. That stuff's wild.
Right then and there, you knew, like, oh, well, I know who's winning this one.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a minute. But, they came in destroying Dawkins. That was the whole point. They walked in, and Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga are the ones that are representing, but Solo and Tonga Loa with his eye patch are on the outside of the ring. And it was one of those things where they would do a move against the ropes, back up, talk to the ref, and while they were talking to the ref, Solo would get involved and give him a good old right hook while they were laying on the ropes here. There was a moment of, oh my God, Jacob Fatu gets weak because Dawkins moved out of the way of a Jacob Fatu like running splash on the corner where he ended up hitting the ring post. And they all ended up rolling to the outside of the ring except for Montez Ford. And they would go around the corner. They were all fighting, everybody except for Solo. And Montez Ford would do the thing where he suicide jump flips over the ring post in the ring and just lands on everybody.
I don't know how he does it.
Dude is ridiculous, man. They were like 25 minutes into this wrestling-wise, and he is still just, whew. Anyway, this wouldn't really matter. Because he would go for, Tez would then roll in Tama Tonga. He would go for a splash, his patented, it's like a heavenly frog splash is what they call it, frog splash from the heavens. Tama Tonga would roll out of the way, and when he rolled out of the way, he would tag in Jacob Fatu, and Jacob Fatu would be like, okay, this match is over. I'm amazing. And he would beat the hell out of Montez Ford and end up going to the top rope, and Jacob Fatu is like a 300-pound man. Yeah. Top rope moonsault that just looked legitimately perfect. Just textbook. Yeah. But I guess that's his finisher, which I don't know how I feel about that, but I guess the pin off that. 1, 2, 3. Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga of the Bloodline are now number 1 contenders for the tag team titles. No drama after the match. No further beating up of the Street Profits, so push them aside. This was a long-ass gauntlet match in the middle of the show. For the roster that they had, I got to see a lot of the Street Profits. I'm going to give it a pop.
Yeah, I'm going to, I guess, give it one as well. My only gripe, I guess, is the time. It's so long that it does become hard to stay invested the whole time.
Yes, it did.
Some of the tag teams I could have done without, but that's okay. The Street Profits you got to see a lot of, which is good. We always advocate for more Street Profits time. The Bloodline, the right team won, I think, here. Well, at least I feel that way. It just makes sense in terms of like the whole Bloodline storyline. And, I mean, I guess we'll see what happens from there. Not much more to add. It was entertaining at parts, but yeah, definitely like some lulls throughout the match, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It was overly long, and we know the reason, right? Like Japan, all the people there. But the right team won here, obviously, but I thought it was done wrong. Like, the entire time, like when I knew how many teams there were and I saw everybody come out, like the OC came out, I was like, we're really just going to get the Bloodline coming in last, like number 30 in the Royal Rumble and just kind of clearing the ring, right? Like we knew that was going to be the end here. We knew it. Everybody knew Bloodline somehow, some way was going to win this match, but I just felt like maybe we could have done it a little bit more, put them in halfway through and give us a little bit more moments of oh no, or maybe a moment of where the ref makes Solo go to the bag because he gets caught cheating, and then it's like, okay, can Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga actually handle themselves by themselves, and then have them win that way? Like a little bit more, tag team character building for Fatu and Tama, but obviously it's a good decision.
Yeah, and I think to counter that, I guess, like it's one of those classic, like, oh, you got the Street Profits who WWE knows everybody likes Street Profits.
Yep.
So everybody like, oh, they might do it. They might do it. They might. And then Bloodline comes out and just completely squashes it. Well, it doesn't squash them, but you know what I mean? Like, just completely ends the hopes and dreams of that. Just like,
Yeah, that is the way to go. But we get Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu for the tag team title next week against DIY. Early prediction on that one.
I guess I'm going to go Bloodline.
Yeah.
It just makes sense with how they're building up the Bloodline and how they're kind of building that faction, I guess, back up to kind of imitate the previous Bloodline.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. I mean, I can't wait to see Fatu in there with Ciampa. Like Gargano, he's going to absolutely destroy, but him and Ciampa, that's going to be like a hard-hitting, exciting.
I thought the Bloodline winning this match 100% guaranteed a Jimmy return next week on Friday Night Smackdown. I think Jimmy returns next Friday, screws them out of the tag team titles, and that's going to be the first little instance. And then the next day at SummerSlam, we get the Tribal Chief back. So because I think DIY is set in stone as the tag team champions for a little bit.
Yeah, they might be. I could also see them doing a quick swap, I guess. Like, I don't know when you have a rematch. Maybe the Friday after SummerSlam,
The pre-show.
Yeah, yeah.
You're fighting 9 hours later, bro.
Have it for a day. I just think, and I think that's a great point with what you said. But something with me, I just feel like they're just trying to imitate the old Bloodline, which obviously had the tag belts and the main title. But I guess for me, it's like, well, all the other rest of the Bloodline, they did their jobs. They have the tag belts solo, but you couldn't get your job done. You're not the real Tribal Chief because you can't win the belt. That'd be my thought. But
yeah, I just hope the returns happen next weekend, period. So
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I don't really care who wins that match in terms of DIY or Bloodline, but just give me the returns. Let's start going with that.
Let's do it. We would then get A-Town Down Under in the ring, and they wanted an explanation and an apology from Terrence Crawford for giving Cody Rhodes a chair last week and screwing them over in the match.
Uh-huh.
And Terrence Crawford come out 40-0, Mr. Terrence Crawford. If you guys didn't know, boxing legend comes to the ring, and Grayson demands an apology. He says that, you need to apologize for last week, and you need to apologize for even thinking you can stand in the ring with A-Town Down Under. And he goes, if you don't, I'm going to have my boy Theory knock you out. And Terrence Crawford is like, if you take one more step toward me, this is going to get ugly. And Theory's like, or Grayson Waller once again, he's like, Theory, go knock him out. And Theory looks at Waller and he says one word. He's like, wait with it. And Terrence Crawford, one punch, knocks him out on the ground. Grayson Waller runs away. So more Grayson Waller, Austin Theory drama here. I don't think it was big enough to pop or drop, but funny little segment.
No, I think really Theory and Waller, both of them, are kind of playing that role perfect right now.
Yeah.
I really like Waller's character right now. Like, just like, my boy's got this. But I just wish they would hopefully get a little bit better in the ring because they both kind of struggled at times while they were tag champs. But in terms of themselves, I mean, this has been nice to see that.
Yeah, at first I was a little bit hesitant on like, man, you really dragging this out? Like, I thought we were going to do this when they had the tag titles. But now I'm like, okay, so you're really separating yourself from the tag titles so you guys can have this rivalry on this over here, which that's going to be fun. That's going to be good. And it's going to be something that happens after SummerSlam, a rivalry to build to, whatever's next, Bad Blood or whatever it is.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to end at a PLE. I mean, it probably will.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to. I mean, you can have something. I mean, if this SmackDown proved anything, and I know, like I said, it's a taped one, pre-recorded, like, there needs to be more intense kind of feuds woven throughout SmackDown.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%.
So I think that's a good way to have like a small building block that people might look forward to.
Yeah, it's hard to watch. Not hard to watch. SmackDown's good, but like it's much different to watch than having like the Judgment Day through line throughout all of Raw. That like keeps me grounded in the chapters of the episode.
Right.
We then would get a Cody Rhodes Japan interview from Japan because the man couldn't be there tonight. He's the Japanese nightmare right now, He's overseas. They're giving him Dusty Rhodes' jacket, whatever the word is, robe. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
Japan gave him his Dusty's old red robe with his hat.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
They honored him with that, so it's a good little
I
thing.
didn't see that, but that's awesome.
very quick thing here. He basically said that, I've been thinking about WrestleMania 40 and how I thought the bloodline was over there. That was the whole point. He thought the bloodline was done. But obviously that's not true because this new bloodline 2.0 is here. And now he's completely alone because they've taken out his partners, Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. And he's now back to being alone. The cards are stacked against him. Deck is stacked against him. And he said, I used to think Solo was not ready, but now I am not sure. But next week, I challenge you, Solo, man to man, mano a mano, 1-on-1 in the ring, face to face. Not in a match, just to talk to each other face to face in the ring. That was basically the whole point of the interview. Mm-hmm. Do we want to pop or drop it? I thought it did its part.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have to pop and drop it.
Yeah.
That's fine. But like you said, it did its part, and it definitely hinted at the returns coming because he's all by himself, so he needs somebody to even the odds. So,
are we doing that though? Like, what will you pop if Randy Orton and Kevin Owens help him at SummerSlam? Like,
I'm thinking more like Roman and
Roman. Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking like Roman and them come back. And
when Roman comes back, do you think he's gonna like actually help Cody or more screw Solo?
I think it's more like de facto, like he goes after Solo, but in return it helps.
Yeah,
Cody.
I agree. Yeah, that's gonna be a moment,
which will be kind of interesting to see, I guess, long term. And this is me going on a tangent. Like you're gonna have babyface Roman and babyface Cody like on the same show. Granted they're gonna be in different things, but like they're gonna still be somewhat interwoven at times, and that's gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see. I just want at SummerSlam, I just want Roman to come screw Solo. I want Roman and Jimmy and whoever else they may add to that return come to beat up all of Bloodline. And then all I really need from Roman and Cody is just like acknowledgement from each other. Like it'd be cool if like Roman like just like shook his hand or something, because like that would mean so much from the tribal chief who has demanded acknowledgement from everybody for 4 years. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully that happens.
Yeah, that's all you need. Something simple.
Yeah. Main event of the night. We would get Michin and Bayley taking on Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton. Earlier in the night, Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax were backstage, and Tiff was very mad that Bayley broke her briefcase. It's all taped up with pink and green duct tape, and Nia's like, I'm going to get you a new briefcase. Just don't use it on Bayley because I'm taking her out. And she's like, no, I would never. But they come out to the ring, and then, they come out to the ring first together, Nia and Tiff. And then Michin would come out first. Yeah, Michin would come out first, and during her entrance, Nia and Tiff would run out and beat her up. And so the story of this match was Michin was like too hurt to compete for most of it, and it turned into a handicap match with Bayley versus Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton, which was kind of just Bayley versus Tiffany Stratton with a sprinkle of Nia in it, because throughout the match, Nia was always on the outside on the apron, waiting for a tag, and whenever Michin would start to get up and get to the rope, Nia would just walk around and like Samoan drop her or something and just keep her out for longer, which I was like, this is kind of funny. It felt like when you're playing 2-player tag team matches in 2K, and the other guy on the outside, his whole goal is to just beat the hell out of the other teammate on the outside.
Yeah, 1,000%. Like, I'll take care of this guy, and you can just take care of the person on the ring,
Oh, dude. But Tiffany and Bayley would get a bunch of offense in here. Tiff would get all of her moves in the back spring, corner strikes, and her leg drops and stuff. And then Bayley would also get some top rope maneuvers. She'd get her elbow off. She'd get everything going here. But Michin would get a hot tag and get hot for a second. She'd get back in the ring, but she was hurt. Her arm was hurting, and they would end up clearing her out of the ring. Anyway, we would get a running knee to Nia from Bayley, and then an elbow drop to Nia from Bayley, with Tiffany breaking up the pin. Tiff would then get thrown out of the ring. We would get a ref distraction, though, and the ref distraction would lead to Tiffany getting back on the apron and hitting Bayley with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and then Nia would take advantage, pull her over to the rope, hit the Annihilator on her, 1, 2, 3. Tiff and Nia win the match. No drama after it. They didn't further attack Bayley. In fact, on the way out, Nia would kind of stand behind Tiff and push her along. She'd be like, No. Don't even look over there. Don't even think about it. This was fine. This was fine. I don't have any complaints here. They gave these women a good amount of time. I liked the Michin drama stuff on the outside. I thought that was creative for the way they did it. A lot of time for Tiffany here. Nia looked strong. Bailey looked strong because she was able to take these girls on handicap wise for a while. Did well for everybody. I'm gonna pop it.
Yeah, I'll pop it as well. I mean, like you said, a lot of offense for Tiffany, which is always a plus. They continue to showcase why she's so good. Nia's kind of playing that. Oh man, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like maybe like a big sister or something role. I'm trying to think of how to describe it, but like basically Tiffany, like you go do all the dirty work. I'll go in. I'll get the pin. Don't cash in on me eventually, or we're gonna hold these things together. So that's always really nice to see. Michin, I guess I know she's kind of been saving Bailey back and forth. So it's nice to see her again. It feels like she's kind of randomly penciled in. At least I always thought. I know Naomi's in the Blair Davenport stuff right now, but I always thought like her and Naomi and Bailey would be like a better tag team. But good to see Michin is nice. She's underutilized.
She's a stud in NXT.
Yeah. Yeah, she was really good in NXT. The little bit of main roster stuff you've seen, she's good.
Yeah, it is kind of shocking, though, the difference in her portrayal on each show. Like, on the main card, like, they did some damage to her before the match. Like, I thought it was creative and fun, but, like, really all they did was, like, slam her once and throw her against the steel steps. And what was it, a month ago at the last NXT PLE? Michin put on, like, the most hardcore freaking NXT match of all time. And, like, was able to get up and stuff. So I'm like, maybe some steel steps are hurting you, but,
yeah,
that's wrestling. You gotta.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, good stuff. I'm gonna pop that as well. And not much more else to say. It did its job. I mean, this SmackDown was kind of more of a.
How can we get these 2 hours?
Yeah. It was kind of like a filler stuff. They did well with what they did. I thought.
Yeah.
Overall, though, if somebody was like, "Hey, should I go watch SmackDown this week?" I'd be like, "Oh, you could just read up the stuff online somewhere." Yeah. I wasn't really entertained by most of it, but like I said, filler 2 hours. They did well with what they had. Better than what we've seen with some of the filler episodes.
If you're going to look at the positives, the tag team division got a huge boost tonight. Like almost the entire division did well. The women's tag titles were at least showcased a little bit, and the biggest SmackDown Women's Championship rivalry got main event status for the night.
LA
so
got LA and Logan Paul were there.
Yeah,
I mean, SmackDown's kind of been the tag team has been kind of their calling card at least right now.
Yeah.
Is they've put on a lot more tag team stuff, and you've gotten to see more teams. So that's been kind of nice again.
Yeah.
I wish Raw would have, I don't know, some time for a tag team.
They only have 3 hours, dude. Come on.
Exactly.
But we would get one more thing before they would cap the night off here at SmackDown. A Bloodline / mostly Solo Sikoa video package where he basically said he agreed to meeting Cody face-to-face next week. He said, I will meet you face-to-face. And Bloodline will win Tag Team Championship next week. And if Roman has a problem with this new Bloodline, he will end up just like Randy Orton and Kevin Owens if he has a problem. And then he will acknowledge me. That's all he says. That was good. That was good. Very, very quick, like 30-second thing. But he is officially threatening Roman here. Mm-hmm. He gonna get his ass whooped.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It keeps leading towards SummerSlam, and I cannot wait.
He gonna get his ass whooped. But as we said, kind of a filler episode of SmackDown, but what it did well. We popped it. Another good episode of SmackDown here. Let us know what you thought about the episode of SmackDown in the comments. Let us know what your predictions are for the tag title matches next week on SmackDown. Yep. And follow us on all of our socials at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod. Listen to us wherever you get your podcasts at Apple, Spotify, etc. And share us with whoever you think might like this type of wrestling content. As always, I'm Will. That's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. We will see you next time.